episode number 59 of Travel Talk. Today's episode is getting a little bit intellectual while in Brisbane. It's about the 4th or 5th day I was in Brisbane, and decided to go to some art galleries and some museums and all that sort of wonderful stuff. Obviously improve my intellect, which is always a good thing. And just to have a little bit more of an explore around some places I haven't been to yet in Brisbane, which is great. For that day, I didn't really get up until about 10:30, simply because the night before, the 8-person dorm that I was in, we had 3 people join it, 3 French girls. They were very drunk. They came in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and unfortunately they woke everyone up, which is a shame. But like I've said in previous videos, you are in a hostel, you are in a dorm, and it's a lot of different personalities, nationalities, etc. So you're always going to get that, unfortunately. But yes, it's not great being woken up by 3 very unattractive French girls. But then again, who can complain? So yeah, didn't get up until about 10:30. Had a shower and a power bar, because that's how you roll when you're travelling. Quick power bar. And I was ready to hit the town. Didn't really have an overly large amount of plans going into the day. However, TripAdvisor had told me that the Gallery of Modern Art, or GOMA as it is pronounced, on the south bank of Brisbane is a great way to spend time, and is also free. And free is always good. So that's exactly what I did. Made the journey towards the gallery, which was basically the opposite side of Brisbane to where I was staying, so it was a fairly long journey. It's about half hour or so is walking. I'd done a lot of walking in the last 4 days, so half hour wasn't too bad really. Arrived at the GOMA, which is how I'll abbreviate it now, obviously. It was a huge building. It's massive compared to any art gallery I've ever been to. It's kind of the size of maybe like an industrial warehouse or an Asda superstore. So it's quite big. And like I say, it was free. So obviously a great way to spend the time, and without having to spend money. Upon entry, I immediately headed for the top floor. I thought I'll start at the top, work my way down. Seemed like a good idea, as I didn't really know where I was going or what exhibits they had at the time. I thought, hit the top and just work my way down gradually. I headed to the 3rd floor. It was a Japanese art exhibit from 1989 onwards. It's a very eclectic mix of like Japanese artists, ranging from like bold and imaginative to kind of strange and confusing, which is always interesting. It wasn't what I expected to be seeing that day, but it was nice. As an example, there was like a camper van with large ceramic flowers, anime paintings, and a mirrored room with glowing balls. As you can imagine, that's quite an eclectic mix. So it was definitely a very different experience, but better than what I expected it to be honest. So I was very impressed. Moving on to kind of the strange Japanese art a little bit more. Moved on to, there was another room of Japanese art, but this was more historic paintings and life, just looking into like general life of the Asian culture and everything, I suppose. It wasn't just Japanese, actually, it was all of Asia, to be fair. For an example, there was 2 hologram projection of 2 Japanese soldiers who had lost contact over 65 years ago, and were recently reconnected and were kind of filmed in the process of reconnecting. So that was very strange, because it was a very dark room, and I wandered in and all I could see was these 2 blokes talking to each other, but then I realised they were holograms, so it's very awkward. I didn't spend too much time in there because it was a bit weird. Moved down to the 2nd of the 3 floors and experienced the kind of more modern style of art, kind of a riskier attempt at art through the use of kind of more irony and sarcasm and just general depictions of life. I'll put photos at the end of it of everything, and I'll let you decide which ones came from which floor, sort of thing. I'm sure you can probably guess, as considering one floor was all Japanese and the 2nd floor was all sarcastic art, basically. I spent about another hour walking around that floor, and then headed down to the ground floor, which was probably where my favourite pieces were, to be honest. They were bright, they were colourful, and they were kind of full of like whimsical wonder as such, ranging from like a camper van, which was just like in the middle of a room basically, with kind of timber trees around it. A life-sized Lego house, that was pretty cool, not gonna lie. That's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Who doesn't want to walk around in a life-size Lego house? Like, you'd be lying if you said you didn't, because that's an amazing thing to do. And yeah, I spent another probably hour walking around in there. So yeah, about 3 hours it passed while I was in there. Done about an hour of floor, and but yeah, none of it was wasted. I really enjoyed being in there. Enjoyed all the artifacts and paintings and wonderfully wacky things that I saw. So it's definitely a recommended thing. I told people while I was at the hostel in Brisbane that I recommended going to see it, because obviously being free and very interested at the same time, always a great thing to do. So yeah, I headed out of the Goma. Was quite hungry by that time, because obviously waking up late I hadn't had any breakfast. So headed back towards the city centre to kind of grab some food basically. Now, because it was a Saturday at the time, it was quite busy in a lot of places, as you can imagine, it being quite a major city. So basically, instead of having somewhere to go and sit down and eat, I went into Woolworths and bought some food to have myself a little picnic in the botanical gardens. So that was going to be quite nice. So about 10 minutes later I emerged from Woolworths, lunch in hand, and made the 5-minute walk from the Woolworths that I'd been to the botanical gardens, because apparently spelling's difficult. Botanical gardens. Saw an empty bench and just kind of sat in the middle of it, next to kind of a big pond, and there was a water fountain in the middle of it. Tucked into my very healthy lunch of water. I think it's banana bread, like a ham and cheese sandwich, because that's how exciting food is in Brisbane. Watched the world go by, basically. Sat there and ate my lunch. Just watched people go by, watched people enjoying sunny Saturday in Brisbane. And yeah, it was lovely. It was tranquil, and that's how it filled my afternoon. So yeah, I ate my little healthy meal, probably the healthiest meal I would have in Brisbane, in all honesty. And then decided to walk through the botanical gardens themselves. And again, like most gardens are in Brisbane, it was huge. I kind of gave myself not enough time that day to really explore it properly, so I decided I was going to leave it and do it another day, which seemed like a good idea. It's another way to spend another day. However, while wandering around, I did see various wildlife and such, like including some rather big lizards which kept popping out of bushes and running in front of me. So it was kind of like Jurassic Park. So, you know, I had Jurassic Park up in Brisbane that day. That was cool. By now, it's kind of getting to like 3-4 o'clock sort of time. And I was booked into the cinema again to go and see another film. I was making the most of the cinema being so close and so cheap. Basically, was going to see Mad Max Fury Road, which followed off the heels of the previous day's Avengers Age of Ultron. So I was seeing some quite decent films at the time. It was a very good film. It's a very good remake of the Mel Gibson classic. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. That took me up to like 6 o'clock probably. On my way out the cinema, I made some phone calls back to England. Headed back towards the hostel, grabbed a Domino's. Had my Domino's, which basically every video from now on, if it doesn't contain a Domino's, is a miracle. Because Domino's basically became the only thing I ate most evenings, because it was very, very cheap and very filling, which is good. So yeah, I had my Domino's, headed back to the hostel, hoped I was going to get an early night, because obviously I'd been waking up the night before. And yeah, just basically headed to bed about 9 o'clock, because yeah, I was dead on my feet basically at this time, and just wanted to go to bed. So yeah, that was another day in Brisbane. Really getting into the kind of the Brisbane swing of things now. Like I say, I am there for like a month and a half, I think it is in the end. So there's plenty more Brisbane to come, and yeah, it's going to be a while before we move on to anywhere else. So it's getting all the best bits out of Brisbane. But hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, obviously leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, don't worry about it. It's all good. Don't doing it. Cool. My English today is amazing. I'm not doing it for financial gain or people to like subscribe millions and millions. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. You know, it's one of those things. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, I'll probably upload this and another video about Brisbane quite soon. If videos do get slower or slow down, it's obviously coming up to Christmas now. Christmas is a very busy time in retail, so I'm going to be doing a lot of extra hours, a lot of different shifts, and so yeah, videos might slow down a little bit, but hopefully you understand. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. See ya.